Hey guys, Mrs. Fox here with chapter 10.1 and 10.2, which is our 8.1 PowerPoint, The Age of Exploration. Make sure you have everything you need out for your notes, including paper, highlighters, something to write with. All right, get down titles and EQs. Remember, as we go through this PowerPoint, I may or may not mention that you need left-hand side questions for each of our question slides. Don't forget to do that. Questions on the left should not be a yes or no answerable question. They should not be something you can answer with just a couple of words. They should be something that takes at least a sentence, if not more, in order to properly answer the question you provide on the left. Okay, so make sure you've got everything you need. Keep the left-hand side question stuff in mind. If you need more time to write your stuff down, push pause, which you can do at any time, the whole lecture, whenever you need to. But if you're ready, here we go. All right, so the first couple slides here, you guys, are FYI. That means you don't need to write anything down. You just need to listen. All right, so if you can think back to the medieval time period and even going into the Renaissance time period, Europeans don't know a lot about the world outside of Europe for a really long time. You know, they know Asia's over there, they know Africa's down below them, and that's what they know. They're not aware that North and South America exists for thousands of years. They're not aware of a lot of the specific individual cultures in Africa, especially the more south you get in Africa, because if you can think of a map, Europe is north of Africa, and so they're more familiar with, you know, the upper portion of Africa, like Egypt and stuff like that. But the further down you got down south, the less they knew. Okay, the same was true about a lot of the Asian continent. Okay, because there wasn't a lot of travel and stuff there, and so they know some things about Europe. They don't necessarily know a lot about the outside world. Okay, so keep that in mind moving forward. Another FYI, you don't have to write it down, you just need to listen. Okay, something that happens during the Renaissance time period, which remember got started in the late 1300s, is that people start to chart better maps as they go on exploration voyages or trade ship voyages. Okay, and the better maps they chart, the safer it's going to be to travel, and the more that's going to encourage traveling. Because remember, guys, they don't have GPS. They don't have, you know, Google up in space taking street views of everything for them. All right, there's no satellite imagery. If you wanted a map of something, you actually had to go and survey the land and measure things out by hand and create maps. So for a long time, maps were not all that well done. When we get to the Renaissance, you might remember talking about maps, and that map making started to improve. So this is also going to play a role in the age of exploration, which, by the way, keep in mind, okay, we had, after Christmas break, the medieval period, and then we talked about the Renaissance period. The age of exploration is the next time period. It starts in the Renaissance, just like the Reformation started in the Renaissance, and the scientific revolution starts in the Renaissance, and the Enlightenment starts in the Renaissance. So does the age of exploration, but a lot of these movements go out past the Renaissance, guys. The Reformation goes past. The scientific revolution goes past, especially the Enlightenment and the age of exploration go past the Renaissance into the next period of time. Okay, so keep that in mind. Technology was getting better. All right, so now we're finally at the first question. Notice it says Q1A. Okay, there's going to be 4 slides for just question 1, A, B, C, and D. You don't have to write the title every single time over on your right-hand side that you highlight yellow. You can just put Q1, why explore, okay? And know that we're going to go through 4 slides before you'll make a left-hand side question, okay? So, why explore? For a long time, exploration was not safe. There weren't good maps. They don't know a lot about the world. We go hundreds of years not even knowing the world's round, right? Okay, people thought the world was flat for a long time, and if you sail far enough, you're just gonna fall right off the edge into outer space. Okay, so they don't know a whole heck of a lot. And it was very dangerous to be on a ship for a long period of time. All kinds of things could happen, right? That would make traveling by ship dangerous. And so why would you risk all of that And we'll get more into the dangers in a minute. But why would you risk all of that to go explore when you might not even find anything? You might end up lost at sea forever, right? Well, there's kind of four main reasons. That's why you got an A, a B, a C, and a D on this slide. Reason number one, right off the bat, money makes the world go round, okay? People want to go explore because they're gonna get rich, or at least they hope they will. If they find something, they can hit it big, like super big, okay? So that was one of the reasons why they would go exploring, because they want some money, honey, okay? All right, what's another reason why they go explore? Well, there's a market for it, right? People want trade goods. Once the Crusades happened, remember, trade had kind of stopped during the medieval period. It wasn't safe. We had feudalism and all these invasions happening and people trying to guard their land. And then the Crusades happened, and people from the Crusades, those Crusaders, brought back up with them Asian goods and brought back Middle Eastern goods and African goods from the trade centers in the Middle East when they were down there for the Crusades. And people liked that stuff and they wanted more. Okay, so there's a market for it. If you're willing to risk the travel, then there's a lot of luxury goods not available easily in Europe that you can go trade for, okay? Things like different spices not grown in Europe, and silks and other luxury things that wealthy merchant and upper class Europeans wanted so they could show off and be fancy, okay? All right, so that's the second reason. The third reason, power. Power and greed, okay? Another thing that unfortunately often makes the world go round. It shouldn't, but it does, okay? Kings and queens of all these European countries, because most of the European countries were monarchies, right? A king or a queen, or maybe both, ruling a country together. They want more land because land equaled power, it equaled opportunity, right? They wanted to get the resources from that land and claim land as their own. So as sailing got a bit safer and as people were willing to go out and explore, kings and queens would pay for voyages to go find out what's out there. What can we go claim as ours so that we can set up colonies? This is leading you guys into 8th grade. It is leading you into high school social studies and just good American citizenship social studies. You want to know this, right? How does the United States start off? As colonies, right? We're colonies, so we are owned by another country at first. Anybody know who owns us? Yes, you're so smart. England owned us. Okay, so that's an example of England, their home country over in England, across the pond, across the Atlantic Ocean, claiming land. When they eventually find North America, they claim what will become 13 colonies, and those will end up being our 13 original states in the United States. Okay, so they're not the only country doing that. There are several European countries going out and claiming land on islands, and eventually when North and South America are discovered, claiming land on North and South America, and starting colonies there. Colonies will start off like settlements, very small villages, and they hope to grow it into towns and eventually into cities, right? And get workers there and be able to take, things from the workers and build their empire by owning land and the resources that came with the land. Okay, so they want more land, they want to build colonies. Okay, keep that in mind. Another thing why they're exploring is that especially after the Crusades, they feel like it's their responsibility to bring Christianity to other parts of the world that were not practicing Christianity. So fourth reason, spread religion, okay? European countries mostly being Roman Catholic or of one of the Protestant Christian religions are mainly going to spread Christianity as they go out exploring. Okay, this was the last one for question 1. So give yourself a left-hand side question, draw a line underneath everything I just said, and push pause if you need more time, because here we go. All right, question 2. Question 2. Prince Henry the Navigator. Prince Henry was the Prince of Portugal. He's a busy dude, being a prince and all, right? So he can't go off exploring and be gone for months at a time all the time, running the country and everything. But he's really interested in exploration and navigation and ships and sea life and stuff in general. And so what he does instead is he sponsors and sets up schools in Portugal specifically for map makers and navigators and ship builders and people who want to go off and be men of the sea. Okay, so So Prince Henry sets up schools known as schools of navigation, and he sponsors explorations that these people from the school go on. So he'll pay for people to go explore after they've been trained at his school. So he can't go off on his own because he's busy, but he does help promote exploration. And that's kind of be how Portugal kind of gets in the exploration game, is because of Prince Henry starting those schools and pushing for exploration and sponsoring those. Okay, so he invites all kinds of people all over the world, the known world at that point, to come and learn at his schools. He actually never goes on one of these explorations himself, okay, but he's a big promoter of this happening. And at his school, a lot of inventions come out of it, making exploration safer. It's still dangerous, but safer. He improves current ship models that were out at the time, and he requires his explorers to keep journals and accurate events of the weather and things they run into and species of animals they see and all this stuff, so that they can collectively bring it back into Europe and share that knowledge. Okay, so just some stuff about Prince Henry there. In the flipped classroom section of my website, you'll find the links you guys need to watch these video clips. I recommend watching them. They will definitely help you to better understand the information. This is an FYI slide. You don't have to write it down. Just be aware that new tools are coming out of this time as the Renaissance is winding down and the age of exploration is revving up. Improved compasses and an astrolabe, which was a device that you could use to take measurements, figuring out your latitude and longitude, are a couple of the inventions that come around during this time. Another invention that comes right out of Prince Henry's of Portugal's, his school of navigation, is the caravel, which is the most modern, best, sleekest, fastest, most wanted and desired ship by every pirate and sailor there ever was at the time. It was a big improvement over other wooden vessels, right? So the caravel was, you know, a modern marvel at the time. And so it would hold crews of about 20 or so and still had plenty of room to bring back trade goods and things that you wanted to trade. It was faster, it was safer, it was more maneuverable, you know, you could steer it easier, okay? Another thing, remember, there's no GPS, there's no MapQuest, there's no satellite images, okay? There's no find your phone, right? They have to rely on the weather and pass down knowledge of how to know where you were, okay? So you're going to use the moon, you're going to use the stars, you're going to use the location of the sun and where it is in the sky. You're going to use landmarks when there are any, because you can go miles and miles and miles and miles and miles in the ocean and not see anything, but when they were there, to help figure out where you are. So if you got lost, it would most certainly almost always mean death. You needed to know how to figure out where you were, okay? Because stuff could happen, guys, like bad weather. What if you get blown off course? You need to be able to figure out where you landed and how to get back on course, for example. So something that we still deal with today, but we have warnings because we have, you know, satellite imagery of how weather systems are working, and we can listen to a weather report. Yeah, they didn't have that back then. So you would run into unpredictable bad weather a lot of the time that would throw you off course. You know, you'd have hurricanes and huge black waves. A rogue wave or a black wave was a wave that came out of nowhere, nobody was expecting. Sometimes when it happened at night, they'd call them black waves, and during the day, they'd call them rogue waves. You know, just bad windy weather making big waves and a lot of rocking and things, so something they had to deal with, okay? Again, this is still just all FYI, guys, FYI. By the time Prince Henry the Navigator dies, he's opened his school, he's helped with advancements in exploration. His school had been responsible for helping to set up trading posts all along the western coast of Africa. So we had really just kind of been in this area. In fact, we studied that, guys, right, during Unit 3. Well, he makes it more down into this area and sets up trade posts, which gets us trading and selling gold and ivory and slaves and lots of other types of profitable items, okay? So I will see you for part 2 when you're ready. Go ahead and check out part 2 of Unit 8.1. I'll see you then.